Serious, parents who regret having kids, why? My daughter was born mentally disabled. I always tell myself it could be worse, that there are kids who just shake back and forth in wheelchairs. Thing is, she is happy now but has no concept of death, and I can only imagine what it will be like when her mother and I are gone. She will be institutionalized and abused probably. I wasn't ready to stop being selfish. I'm only 2 years in, so it's still the intense stage. But parenting so far has just been relentlessly exhausting. I feel like having a kid closed off a lot of possibilities for me. Definitely killed any semblance of spontaneity in my life. I will start by saying I never wanted kids. I was married at 20, had my first kid by 21, second kid by 22. First kid is out on his own. And let me tell you, his 18th birthday couldn't come fast enough so he could move out. Second kid is moderately to severely affected by autism. She will never hold a job or live on her own. I never got to enjoy my 20s or 30s. I never will be able to take the amazing vacations that my friends all plaster Facebook with. I will never have free time with my husband because no one wants to watch an autistic, low-functioning 20-year-old. Heck, there's not even leaving her at home alone for a few hours to go shopping or watch a movie or anything. My husband had to quit his job to become a stay-at-home dad for her because there are no decent services for adults with autism. We had to move away from friends and family just to find a decent school for her. Kids take so much time and money and energy. Having a disabled one is even more physically and mentally draining. I love my children more than I can ever express. They never asked to be brought into this world. I have an obligation to care for my daughter because no one else will. There will never be an end for us as far as raising our kid, then having her leave home so we can live our lives. I do become sad about missing out on things, adventures and trips and vacations. But we modify our plans to include her. We are lucky because our daughter is sweet and a lovely girl. I can't even imagine how hard life is for her. I at least am able to make my own choices, have friends, and work and love. These things are probably not going to be available to her. So I guess I don't really regret having kids. I regret having a child who has to live every day with autism. For her, not me. All you need is a special needs kid to think something along the lines of I wouldn't want him to die or anything, but if I could go back to before he was conceived I'd do things differently. I'm honestly so terrified of having a special needs child. I know that I couldn't handle it. My so and I has discussed this before. We would either abort or make sure the child would go to a home where someone could love them. It's just too much for either of us to handle. I feel like it has destroyed my marriage. Both of us have changed since our child was born, and I'm afraid the people we've become are not as compatible as the people we used to be. We never talk to each other, we never do anything together, and the very, very infrequent intercourse is basically her attempt to maintain her ability to claim she makes an effort in our relationship. Any communication that happens between us is about logistics regarding our child. I understand there is a brief period after birth where everyone needs to adjust, but it has been over 4 years now. I love my child more than anyone else on earth, save for my wife, but I miss having a companion in life. If I had known it would be like this, I don't think I would have made the same decisions. I love my boys more than I ever thought I could. However, it's Saturday night and I'm covered in baby vomit with a baby refusing to sleep anywhere else but on me. He will wake about 3 times between now and when the toddler wakes at 6 AM. I'm carrying 20 kilograms more than I'm comfortable with and have no clothes that fit. I feel guilt for so many choices I make. There are times I regret having my second baby because it's so hard to juggle the needs of 2 and still find time for my needs. People tell me it will get easier, but for now, I'm hating it. 3 words. Pervasive developmental delay. Those 3 words call my entire existence into question. I basically brought someone into this world to have a crappy time. Destroyed marriage via forget passionate lovemaking. It becomes a chore. When kids start walking, the things you did together, you can no longer do together, or very rarely, the things you enjoyed individually, cannot be replicated either. Forget unwind time, personal space, etc. Over years people change, and nothing accelerates change as having another depend being, or 3. That's for the marriage bit. Then there's work-life balance, which goes out the fricking door. The stress at work, and the increasing stress of job market, you do not have the luxury of come to dissipate. What happens is that you come home after a nasty, stressful day, and the stress is compounded with home kids problems. Have that for years. I love my kids, I'd still have them, but there are sacrifices people are not prepared for. I've seen marriages destroyed, homes destroyed, I've seen mental breakdowns, drugs usage, etc. It's not that I regret having her, but if I could wrap her in cotton wool and bubble wrap, put her in a cupboard for 10 years with the guarantee that I'll get the same child, then I without a doubt would. Parenthood is just not what I expected it to be. I mean, people told me that you have to make sacrifices when you become a parent, but because I had never really made any sacrifices before having her, I had no idea what that might entail or feel like. I also thought I wouldn't mind missing out on all the partying and holidays because I would have the ultimate gift, a child, but I have found that also to be untrue. I do mind missing out on the partying and holidays, and therefore I try to cram as much as that in as I can still, which makes my quality time with my child few and far between. Yes, I have her 5 nights a week. I feed her, bathe her, teach her, discipline her, put her to bed, but I mean proper quality time I feel she misses out on because sometimes I have no desire as I'd rather be elsewhere. I feel constantly guilty because I'm not putting my all in to be the best mummy I could be, how I imagined myself to be, and I feel she is missing out. Before I had her I always wanted 3 children. Now 1 is enough for me. I don't want any more. Like I said, I wouldn't use the word regret, but if I could have taken a glimpse into what parenthood really is like before I fell pregnant, I would have been a lot more careful. People can tell you, but nothing can really prepare you for what it is really like. It is a 24/7 hands down the toughest, most exhausting job ever. Got 2 kids, both teenagers now. The eldest has anxiety and depression. Sometimes I wonder how my wife and I have managed to stay married through it all. We love both our kids more than anything, but having one with mental health issues is just exhausting. You start to anticipate the crazy as you're driving home from work. Almost nothing gets her out of her moods, and it weighs heavy on all the relationships in the household. She does therapy and meds, and they help some, but it's like she's just heck-bent on seeing the worst possible view of everything. So then you imagine the life that this person you love is likely to lead, given this tendency, and it's just depressing. It gets hard to maintain hope. Regret is a strong word, but if we could go back to when she was little and happy, and just stay there, it would be a lot better. My life turned into a living heck when my oldest son was a teenager. He started using drugs at 14. He was arrested for breaking into cars at around the same age. Things continued to escalate and we had no control of him. We tried everything. He continued to use drugs. He sold drugs. The state of Florida has a law that the parents are responsible for the minor until the age of 18. He could not be emancipated because he was not financially independent and we couldn't afford to support him outside of our home. So we were forced to keep him in our home. It was 4 years of living heck. I had 2 breakdowns and our marriage was torn apart. He was a good kid until age 14, smart in school, and neither my husband nor I used drugs. There's no guarantee how your kid will turn out. I just wasn't ready. I was only 20 when she was born. I was in the middle of uni and I just wasn't ready to be responsible for something so important. I wanted to go traveling before starting my career, but that won't happen. I'm just about to finish my master's degree and I'm going to have to go straight into a high stress job to be able to have some form of financial stability to provide for her and be able to move into a decent area so she can go to a decent school. I'm on placement ATM. I leave at 6 AM and get back at 7 PM. If my GF hasn't managed to get her to sleep before I get back, she won't sleep till 10 PM cause she fricks about for me and refuses to sleep. Once I've got her to sleep, I then have to attempt to do some of my dissertation and apply for jobs. I just want one day where I can stay in bed and chill like I used to. I don't hate being a parent, I just wish I could have waited like 10 years and forget about ever getting intercourse. My GF decided co-sleeping was a good idea, so I've not had any form of intimate contact for like 6 months now. And before it stopped completely, it happened extremely rarely. I've gone from having intercourse like 4 times a week to 0 times in 6 months. I was a mother of 3. The things that are often mentioned about lack of sleep, autonomy, money, etc. are all valid, and they last much longer than you expect, and they can drive you to near suicide at times. Especially when the second comes along and you're still not getting nearly enough sleep, but now you have two on completely different schedules. But they do end, eventually. But, and this is a big but, my biggest regret is my youngest, because she died at age 6. She had a brain tumor which made her blind and adversely affected her behavior, and she consumed my time and energy completely. Her loss nearly destroyed our family. I would not know the pain that I still feel if she had not been born, and I would not experience the guilt of feeling that things, on a practical level anyway, are now easier without her. I come from a broken up family and never wanted that for my kids. I wanted a full family with no step-parents or split visitation. I'm now a single father of 2 who have different moms. I really wanted things to work, but they just never did. My one kid has a mom who has now went 3 weeks without seeing him because she has refused to do an 8-hour drug class I paid for. My other son's mom is great though, and we do 50/50 outside of court, so that's nice. But I still wish things went this way. My regret isn't exactly having kids, it's having them with people I mistakenly thought were who I would be with the rest of my life. I feel like I had my son with my ex-partner under false pretenses, so to speak, and now that we're not together I sometimes feel like life would just be easier if we hadn't had a child together. Backstory: I found out when my son was only a few months old that his father had been cheating on me basically our entire relationship, lying, manipulating and basically being a horrible human being, and we split. We didn't have the most amicable breakup and had to sort out court agreements, visitation, etc. He now basically nitpicks everything and anything he can and makes life difficult. I wouldn't take back my son for the world, but sometimes I just feel like this isn't exactly what I signed up for, and if I'd know about everything before I became pregnant things would be so much different. Naturally I'm not the biggest fan of my father's son, due to the cheating etc. So having to be in constant contact and being tied together like this for life isn't much fun. When we did the family history to see the chances of any defects, not only did he lie to me, his whole family did. All the ultrasounds were normal, so imagine my surprise when I hear, are her feet supposed to look like that? She has club feet and it's not easy. She needed full leg casts, and is still on braces. She is 1 and can't walk. On top of that, I was just informed she will be needing tendon surgery on her left foot. Only after this ordeal do I find out that his family has a history of disorders. Imagine blaming yourself for months, thinking you could have done something different but it was not your fault. Dealing with her feet is a huge strain financially and emotionally. If you are planning on having a baby, always be truthful to your partner. I love my children more than anything else in this world. Words cannot describe the type of love I feel for them. But at the same time, I do regret having them. I regret being the person that I have become as a parent. I was always carefree and spur of the moment. Now I'm careful, and if plans aren't set in stone, they likely won't happen. I always said I would never have children. I hate kids, I do. I am just not that type of nurturing person. I was always very careful to make sure protection was in use, condoms, birth control, but I am that 0.1% and apparently very fertile. I do not have that natural motherly instinct that all women seem to have, you know, that one that kicks in the moment they know they're pregnant. I have to work really hard at it and it's exhausting. I miss my solitude and being able to check out of reality from time to time. With all that being said, there is not a thing I wouldn't do for my children. They will always be my babies. They are amazing little creatures. My boys play travel baseball and I wouldn't trade long nights at the ball fields for anything. Watching them play is one of the greatest joys in my life. Still, I often find myself wondering what life would be like without them. I have 3 kids and quite frequently wish I had 0. I never wanted kids and knew I wanted more from my life than dirty diapers and minivans. I was okay with the first 2, but the third really made me question everything again. This is not what I want to be doing with my life. I had my kids at such a young age, 15, 19, 24, that I don't stand a chance at doing anything significant with my life other than saying, hey, I raised 3 more humans. You're welcome. What an accomplishment. Some days it's hard not to regret it. I have a 6-year-old with severe ADHD, brain trauma at birth, and an autistic 4-year-old still in diapers. My wife is active military and I had to leave a very lucrative job to take care of them. I love them, but occasionally I have to chant that to remind myself that I do. I don't care about my son. I got my then GF pregnant by accident, and her being her Christian self didn't want to abort it. Our relationship was always off the wall. She always had plans for our future, but I didn't even want to marry her. But I never told her. Boom comes baby. I loved him to death since I first laid eyes on him. I bought him everything I could. Everything was for him. GF has postpartum depression and tells me she doesn't love me anymore. I tell her it's the depression talking, so we try to mend it. A year later she cheats and leaves me, moves to 7 different states and takes baby. I try to track her down but in the end it was futile. I was heartbroken from her, and especially my son. 7 years later she goes back to live in my hometown and says she wants me to see my son. In the end it was only because she wanted child support. I had already moved on, made my career in engineering, got married, and we have a beautiful baby girl on the way. She takes my son and we finally meet. It was really awkward and I didn't know what to say. He spends every other week with me, but it's like having a stranger in the house. It's been 2 years of this and I don't feel any connection to him. He's a good kid, doesn't pull any tantrums, is respectful, loves his sister, but I just don't love him. It makes me feel guilty. I don't really regret him, but to me, he just feels like an outsider from a life I tried to move on from. I didn't realize that a maternal instinct is not universal. You know how you see parents in the delivery room and they are crying tears of joy? I felt nothing. Honestly, I could have left them at the hospital and it wouldn't have bothered me. I usually have no desire to spend time with them at all. I love them and have a strong sense of duty. I just don't enjoy them or want to do any of the things they do. However, I spent their whole lives going out of my way to care for them in every way a good mother should. My boys are well cared for and I am always here for them, but it feels very unnatural and fake and unenjoyable. It is a bit like a retail job you don't like where you put on a fake persona and slog through it the best you can. I don't get to leave this job, though. The worst is how I'm demonized for it. I've done everything I can for them for 16 years including all the extracurriculars. Kids baseball is agonizing to fake enjoy, I swear. And it has never been easy. Shouldn't I get more credit than those moms who love nothing more than spending time with their kids? That doesn't sound hard to me. Nope. I fail because I want my own life. I don't regret having my kids so much as keeping them. I feel badly that I'm their mother and my husband is their father, because we've made some serious mistakes and they have had to deal with that. I was 17 when I had my oldest two, twins, and I genuinely did not understand how much my brain was still changing and how unprepared I was and how unprepared I would remain. The first few years I felt like I really did pretty well, not even pretty well for a teen mom. I thought I was a pretty excellent mom overall. As I've gotten older and more self-aware, that has changed. This isn't a constant crushing feeling or anything, just something that hurts from time to time and I try and deal. And again, I don't regret having them. I understand that I'm biased, but I truly believe that all 4 of them are wonderful people and the world is a much better place with them in it. But I regret not handing them over to someone who would have done a better job. Because kids aren't the life completer we believe they are. Actually, they take away from your quality of life daily. My kids are 13 and 11 and they still mess up my daily life. Worst of all is I love them so much I couldn't do without them even though they disturb my peace all the time. I do not recommend having children. Maybe one but not necessary. We perpetuate the species needlessly. You have been visited by the science doggo. Upvote now and you will get high grades and good results within the next week. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.